All right, welcome to another episode of Sex with Ashley. I'm your host, Ashley. And on today, we are talking about. So, if you follow me on Instagram, I posted that I was watching this show on Hulu called Dying for Sex. And I was like, this is really, really good. And so Dying for Sex was a podcast. I remember that like during the pandemic, like 2020, 2021, it was a podcast that people were talking about. And then I was really surprised because I didn't know it was going to be a show until it just popped up on my Hulu things to watch. And I was like, oh, this is really neat. And so I started watching it. And I was like, okay, cool. I have to have somebody from this podcast on my show. So that's how I met Nikki Boyer. So Nikki, nice for you to join us today.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I'm grateful that we found time to chat because anytime I get to chat about this project and my best friend Molly, it's like a gift. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing. So like this was loved. First of all, I love the show. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure it's doing really, really well. So yeah, so let's just get into one. So let's talk about who you are. So the show is based on about you and your friend Molly. And Molly has stage 4, was it breast cancer? Was it breast
Yep.
cancer?
Yep.
It was stage 4 breast cancer. And she just kind of wanted to like say like, fuck it.
Pretty much it.
Pretty much like fuck it, let me live my life and let me get an orgasm or two or three and just kind of
hmm
figure out what it is I like because I'm checking up out of here. So what better time to do it than now?
Absolutely.
And that's really what the show is about. So just kind of give us some background about who you are, why y'all started the podcast, and then how it came from a podcast to a show.
Well, I love telling this story because it's like such an unconventional Hollywood story, right? Because I've been in this business for a really long time. And they always say if you want to really, I don't know, if you want to tell a story, find the story that you can't not tell and then spend your career trying to tell that story. And so when Molly got sick and she was re-diagnosed as metastatic, and she knew that there was going to be no cure and she was just trying to prolong her life, she decided to leave her marriage. She was like, I can't stay in the confines of this relationship and really figure out who I am. And I think I need to have some really great sex. And I think that's going to help heal some old wounds. It's going to help me get kind of reintegrated into her body. And feel she had like a side effect to some medication that she was taking, the tamoxifen, I believe, that she just, I don't know, kind of made her just vibrate a little bit, which is not a normal side effect. So she was like, well, I'm gonna ride this train. Literally, I'm gonna ride this. I'm gonna figure this out. So I feel like she was really bold and really brave. But I think in this sexual discovery, Ashley, I think what was the most profound is that there was like this spiritual awakening for her, and she really learned to heal some old wounds and to figure out some things about herself, and also to deeply fall in love with herself. And so, yes, it is about sex and it is about cancer and it is about death. But I also think it's about like, what do you want to do with your life? Right. So it all started with she and I talking about it. We recorded a podcast. She got really sick before I could like release it on my YouTube channel. And I thought, I think this is something bigger. I think this is more. And so I reached out to Wondery and we paired up. And after Molly passed away, we worked on her recordings and her story, incorporating her book and her voice and interviews. And we created Wondery, and myself and my producer, Stephanie Jens, created the podcast that did really well. And then luckily became a beautiful television show. So that was a journey probably since it started in 2016. Ashley, that's been a long time, right? So a long road, a beautiful love story, of my
So I
friend.
did not know. So when I first heard about Dying for Sex podcast in like 2020, so Molly had already passed away then.
Yeah, she actually passed away in 2019. The podcast came out almost a year after her passing on 2020, right? Yes, COVID. It was the
Yeah,
year of the year of COVID.
it was
And I think
COVID.
everybody was craving like something because the world was shutting down. And I think that podcast hit right when people were willing to be kind of cracked open. So yeah, 2020 is when it came out. But she passed away 2019. So now it's been 6 years that I haven't had her. I feel her like she's with me. Like I feel like I'm working with her. I get to see her and feel her all the time. Yeah, pretty
So I
cool.
think one of my favorite scenes from the movie is when Molly is at chemotherapy and her lover who was what's the word I'm looking for? He was an animal play. I think he was like a dog.
Dog play, puppy play. I
Dog
don't
play,
really know,
puppy play. There it
know the
is, puppy
right
play.
kink term, but
Yeah,
yes,
puppy
yes.
play. That's what I couldn't think of the word. And so she's there. Her mom's there. Soon to be ex-husband is there, and he's there with his girlfriend, I think, or were they married at the time? Girlfriend, new wife, whomever. And then the puppy play guy comes in, and he's like playing as a puppy. And the
Right,
people and her mom and her husband are like looking like, what the fuck? They're
right.
like, what is happening?
Oh
And
my
she just
gosh.
goes on like it's just like everyday normal. And
Yeah,
so they were so uncomfortable. They were so uncomfortable. But it
right.
was probably one of my most hilarious,
Oh, I love
funniest
that you
scenes.
love that scene because I'm actually in that scene because I play cousin Sheila who comes in with food to the chemotherapy room for the meal train, which by the way, if you've ever gone through anything related to chemo, like the last thing you want is food. You're just nauseous and you're sick and the smells make you sick. And so I come in with my chilaquiles and then her ex-husband comes in with bagels and we're all having this like super inappropriate like meal time around Molly while she's in chemotherapy, which is incredibly inappropriate and very funny. And then she decides to double down and call her one of her men that she's her suitors, if you will. And she says, yeah, come on to the hospital. Come on. And he's puppy play. So he's dressed as a dog and wants to be treated as a dog because that's his kink and his fetish. And that scene took us, we shot that scene all day, Ashley, and it was so fun. Like I could have done that for 5 more days. We had the best time.
So I know that in TV, like they take creative liberties, right? So some things they add for TV effect, and some things are real life. So in that scene, did that really happen in real life?
That scene did not happen, but it was inspired by 3 or 4 instances that did. So they all didn't happen at the same time, but there was a guy who enjoyed puppy play. There was food brought into a room inappropriately. There was also other behavior that would happen where, like, one woman's husband decided to bring like weightlifting equipment to the chemo room and he started working out in the middle of it was so yes, it was there were liberties taken, Ashley, but I have to say I've seen some crazy shit go on at the hospital.
Okay.
So it wasn't too far off the
Okay.
map.
Okay. So
Right.
so when creating the TV show, how did you make sure that her story would remain intact and still be
Yeah.
entertaining enough for television?
That's such a great question. It took a lot of conversations with my amazing writers that were brilliant and smart. It was Liz Merriweather and Kim Rosenstock. They are just two of my favorite humans because they really wanted to tell a different story that was the podcast was there, right? It already existed. They wanted to tell their version of Molly's story. And I just really trusted them. The creative liberties that I took, I felt were really fun and vibrant and they were deep and interesting. So I think they really captured the essence of me and Molly. So I felt really, really good about it, even though there were some timeline things changed and some details. Overall, the show felt very rooted in Molly. That was nice.
So that brings me to my next question. So watching, the personal story of Molly unfold in a scripted series, were there moments that felt surreal or emotionally intense for you? How did you feel like watching this story
Yeah.
once it was completed?
That's so interesting because it was things that I had kind of like put in the back of my mind, like the scene where she is intubated and they say to her, you have a DNR, which is a do not resuscitate. So if we take this breathing tube out and you can't breathe on your own, you will die and you have a DNR. So that's what we're okay with happening. And she agreed. And so, Ashley, there was this moment in real life where I was in the room and they were pulling out that tube and her body luckily remembered how to breathe and she was okay. But in real life, that was might be the most intense feeling of fear that I've ever had where you're waiting to see if someone's going to breathe after a tube is removed. And when I watched how our beautiful showrunners and our writers created the scene and shot the scene, because we had a lot of medical professionals on set helping us to make it look real. And so I felt like I was almost experiencing that moment again and they captured it so beautifully, and all the funny moments like where she asks the doctor if he has a permission slip to be here from his parents because he's so young, that all really happened. So there were times when my showrunners took the truth and just kept it locked in there. So that was one of my favorite scenes and one of the hardest scenes for me to watch because I felt like I was reliving it again and actually getting to sort of watch it from Molly's perspective and wondering what it must have been like for her to have that happen. So yeah, very, very intense.
So how did you feel about Michelle Williams and Jenny Slate's portrayal of you and Molly? Like, one, how did you get Michelle Williams? Did you say I want Michelle Williams to play?
I did a seance and I voodoo dolled her and I was like, listen, no. It was one of those things where, like, when the podcast came out, we started to meet with showrunners and we
Okay.
had no idea. I mean, we knew it was going to be a TV show, but I don't think I knew it was going to be like this. And when I heard that Michelle Williams had listened to the podcast and that she was interested, I honestly was like, well, that's sweet. That won't, like, that sounds too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she's the perfect Molly.
Yeah.
And then she ended up getting pregnant. And we were like, oh, she's out. And then COVID hit and things got messy. So the show kind of was put on hold. But man, that's divine intervention when the universe is just kind of taking care of you and you don't even know it. You think it's like putting a roadblock up, but really it's like just a little mini, like a pause. And then when Michelle, after she had her baby, she came back and said, please tell me that you haven't cast this role. So Michelle really pioneered for this and really wanted to play Molly. So I was so deeply grateful and so happy. And then Jenny Slate did a chemistry read, like old school, where the actors come in and they read together. And that's how Jenny was cast. So I couldn't be happier with those two playing the roles of us.
They did a very good job. Very great.
Did you like it? What,
Perfect. I
did
loved
you
it.
feel that love, that deep love and that friendship right off the bat?
I did.
You did?
Like you were like the crazy, not crazy in terms
Yeah.
of, but like
No, I know
like the
what you mean.
crazy fun friend.
Who loses her shit and yells at men in cars all the time. Yeah, that's not too far off.
Yeah, and like and I remember the scene where you where Molly and her neighbor, the guy from across the wall came over
Yeah.
and you would sit out in the hallway for hours, and I was like, why don't you just go in his apartment? Like I'm
Right? Because it was probably dirty and gross and smelled like socks.
probably. I'm
Right?
like probably.
Oh my gosh.
So have you received feedback from like Molly's mother or her husband on their portrayal of them in the series? Have people said things?
Molly's mother and I are quite close. She participated in the podcast, which I thought was so beautiful and brave. And she is so grateful and so honored that her daughter's story is being shared, despite probably little moments of being uncomfortable. But I brought her to the premiere with me. She got to
Okay.
meet Michelle. There are pictures where Molly's mother is holding on to Michelle, hugging, and it is just so beautiful. So I think she really found it to be healing. I'm sure it was also incredibly difficult, may have ripped the Band-Aid off of some things, but I think it's just beautiful. But that's really, yeah, that's the biggest, that's the person I was the most concerned about was
Okay.
my sweet,
Okay.
yeah, Molly's mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what was your best part or your best part of the series?
I have to say, being on set, right? Because I'm an actor, so I'm used to being in the scene and working and participating and being the actor, and to be able to sit back as an executive producer and have my headphones on and be watching the beauty unfold. But what was most impressive, Ashley, was watching how many souls, how many people it took to tell this story, and how many of them were so invested, from the people doing craft services and making the foods and the drink for us each day, to the lighting people, to the gaffers, to the sound equipment, to the production design that would bring in every detail of a prop, to the actors, to the direct. Like, you see how many people had to gather and give of themselves to tell this story. So sitting with my headphones on and watching the monitors, and then stepping back and looking around and going, all these people are here to support my beautiful friend's story. It was brought tears to my eyes and chills down my body. And I couldn't believe we're all doing that together for her. It was really special.
So people typically say, I was on a reality show for a short while.
Wait, which one? Which one?
Not one you probably watched.
You don't know. I watched.
It was called Love Match Atlanta. It was on Bravo.
I
This was
think I
during
might have seen
pandemic. Came out in 2021, 2022. Somewhere
Love
around there.
Match Atlanta. Okay.
It's a show about matchmakers and they find the clients. I was one of the clients.
Yes.
But during that show, they told us, like, when the show was over, don't read the comments, right? Don't read the comments. But, because I don't follow directions. I read the comments. So my question to you is, so have you been reading the comments? Have you been hearing, what have you been hearing about viewers who've watched the show?
Yeah.
Have you heard like they liked it overall, they didn't like it? Have people been like reaching out with personal stories? What have you heard from viewers?
That is a great. The comment section might be my favorite place to be. I love haters. I love people that sit behind their computer and have opinions about art that other people are making. I love, like, I don't know why I kind of get off on it. I
Okay.
think because I've been in this business for a long time. I've been on TV since I was like 14 years old. So I have
Okay.
heard it for my entire life. And I'm almost 50, so I can't do math, but you follow me, right? I think with dying for sex, I was prepared. First of all, it's really controversial topics. It's about leaving marriages, having sex, cancer, death, friendship, and laughing inappropriately at everything. That's triggering to people. I get it. Don't watch it, right? I don't care. Don't watch it. But I do believe the people that do get past their little mini judgment and lean into it end up going, oh my God, I had no idea. It was about a deep, introspective, loving spiritual journey and orgasms, right? All at the same time. So every once in a while, I mean, I have to say, in my world and in my realm, it's been like 95% positive. And occasionally someone gets their, clutches their pearls and they're like, that's not how you find love. You need to pray. And I was like, well, okay, how do you know she didn't pray? Just because she was having sex and
Right.
orgasms, why do you think those are two mutually like what?
Right.
So I do find it to be kind of funny. I do think I don't respond.
Okay.
I used to. I used to get into it in the comment section. I loved it. In fact, once I did a podcast with my friend Ross Matthews on his show, Straight Talk with Ross. And it was right when I joined the show. Actually, like I was the new host, right? And people were not happy with it. So the next episode, I decided to print all the comments like old school and then read everybody's mean comments about me on the show and called every single person out. And they were like, whoa. And I was like, see, it's easy to say what you want from behind your computer, but now I'm putting your name and I'm talking to you. And I just want you to know that I hear you and I see you. And that's really hurtful. And I'm sorry that you don't like me. And it kind of shifted things and turned things around. And people eventually were like, oh my God, I was so wrong about you. Like, I'm so sorry I said that. But listen, the show is not for everybody. I am not for everybody. And so the comment section can be a very slippery slope, but I kind of secretly live. I like it.
Okay, cool. Okay, because there was some
What do
people
you do?
like.
Like, how did you handle it?
So it was my first time on TV, but like I have a Instagram page. I have a kind of a decent following
Yeah.
on social media, and people say things all the time on social media. So for social media purposes, I just learned to like. I used to be like you, so I used to just be in the comments right back with them, right?
I know,
And I'm
right?
like, you talk about me, you're like, yo, you little blah blah blah. But then I was like, so I got to a place where I would post something and then I kind of would turn the comments, my notifications off, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't see it
That's
until
kind
I
of
happened to,
brilliant. Yeah.
yeah, until I happened to just go maybe at late at night and just scroll and read something, and then I was like, it doesn't matter because I don't know you and you don't know me. And this is your
Exactly.
opinion, and an
Yeah.
opinion is not fact. But it took a while to get
Yeah.
there. It took some years
Okay.
to get there. Now I just don't care because I don't know y'all. Y'all don't know me. Who cares what y'all think?
Yeah. And I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Like,
and that's fine.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that is totally fine. But yeah, so yeah, that is a lesson that everybody has to learn who wants to be in some kind of spotlight. People are going to have comments about what you do. If you create some
Yeah.
type of art, people going to have comments, and then they're all going to be positive, and you have to learn that.
It's the price you pay to be an artist. It's like
Yeah,
you get to rattle the cages, you get to stir the pot, you get to do it all, and you're going to cause a reaction. And
yeah,
sometimes it might not be positive, and you have to be okay with that.
and be okay with that. And if you can't be okay with that, then maybe this line of work is not for you.
Yeah, go be a dentist. I don't know. Although I'm sure they get bad reviews too, dentists.
I'm sure they do.
Right? We all have to deal with it.
So, what has this journey taught you? Like the journey from the podcast to making the
Ah,
show. What did it taught you about yourself? One,
hmm
friendship second, and grieving third.
It's like therapy. I love it. It's taught me about myself that I really want to be mindful and aware of what I fill my time with and who I fill my time with.
That's good.
Right? Like sometimes I go on autopilot and before I know it, I'm like, what am I doing? Who am I? I just am on a schedule and I'm plugging holes in a boat and I'm like just doing what I think needs to be done, but like, what do I want to do? And is there any way that I can inject that into my day? So I'm really getting better at that. And in terms of friendship, it kind of spills over because, we only have a certain amount of time left on this earth when you really think about it. Like, how many Christmases, how many summers, how many sunsets, how many, like, do we have left? We don't know, but it's not an infinite amount. So you may as well fill that time with people that feel good in your body. You know when you meet people and they're like they kind of just don't resonate with you and they don't vibe with you, and that's okay. And I think for years I thought I had to let everybody in, and now I'm just really protective of my sweet little circle of friends, very open to new friendships, obviously. So I think just be really pay attention to your body and how your body feels around people.
Hmm.
And then with grief, it is a windy, windy road. And I
It
do
is.
think that grief, I can't remember which actor it was. He was on a late night talk show and he was talking about his mother's grief. Oh my God, I love him. He's such a good actor. Damn it, I can't think of his name. But he said that grief, I'm paraphrasing, but when he feels grief, it's just unexpressed love for someone that's not here.
Hmm.
So when I feel that grief come up, I don't really squash it down. I feel it because to me, it's just another version of love. It's just a feeling of missing that person and missing that love. But if you tap into the grief, often at the end of grief, like when you cry really, really hard, Ashley, and then you kind of start to yawn
Hmm.
and your nervous system kind of starts to settle in. I feel like that's the sweet spot when like there's recovery in that.
Yeah.
But you have to go through that grief to get to that like deep, relaxed state. And I think you have to allow yourself to do that full cycle of cry, 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 yawn, exhaustion, and then kind of pick yourself back up. And I think if you can give yourself permission, if you feel it come up, like let it out. Oh my gosh, just please let the grief out because it's just love. It's just
Yeah.
love packaged up in a different wrapping
It's
paper.
love with no place to go, pretty much.
Ah, yeah. Oh, that's a good way to put it. But it's better for it to be out than in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, last question. So, what did Molly or Molly's experience during this teach you about sex?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. She was real. You know what? I learned to get rid of that judgment and that shame, especially not really about my own sex life because been with the same partner for like 16, 17 years. But I think
Hmm.
before that, and when I was younger, I had a lot of shame around it, like of a shame about what I wanted my pleasure to be. But then when I hit my 30s, I was like, oh, this is all about me. Like, right? You get to a point where you're like, oh, this is not just transactional. This is an experience. And we're both in this together. And good sex isn't just determined when the other person has an orgasm. Like
Yes.
there's a lot going on, right? I think with Molly, I learned to not judge people based on what they like sexually, to not put anybody in a box based on what they prefer. And kinks and fetishes, as long as you're not harming somebody, enjoy and explore and go and do. A lot of the time, sex can help you heal some old like wounds that you have, and that sex can really be kind of a spiritual thing. So she gave me permission to stop judging and to open my mind a little bit and also just have more of it. Like as long
Yeah.
as your body's working and it's going, like have more sex if you want to. As long as you're
Yes.
safe and careful, like do it.
Have all the
Have
sex.
yes, have all the sex.
Have all the sex.
Right?
So for people who are maybe just their first time hearing about Dying for Sex, the
Yeah.
podcast, is it still available for people to listen to?
Yeah, it's wherever you get your podcast. And then also, Ashley, I recorded 3 bonus episodes with the cast of the Dying for Sex TV show. So there's these beautiful episodes about the TV show. So my suggestion is go listen to episodes 1 through 6 of the Dying for Sex podcast, wherever you get yours. Then go watch the beautiful TV show on Hulu, which is 8 episodes and you can binge, and then go back to the podcast and listen to the bonus episodes, which are like kind of a recap of what happened on set. And that's kind of like the little Dying for Sex journey. I think people will enjoy it because I think it'll cause them to hold up the mirror to themselves and say, first of all, what am I doing with the time that I have left? What do I want out of my life? And can I have some fun sex?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes. You can definitely have fun sex. It's just you have to just have to be open to how it comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I really appreciate about the show was like Molly was open to exploring sex however it came. As long as she was enjoying it, it didn't care if it was puppy play, it didn't care if she was masturbating to listen to the man in the wall,
Yep.
whatever it was that she enjoyed doing, she was doing it. And I
Yeah.
think and I think more people should learn that lesson from her and
Yeah.
live that way.
Yeah.
It's a great way to live life, I believe.
Well, I think sometimes you have to figure out, you have to try a bunch of things. And usually you have to figure out what you don't like before you figure out what you like. So it's like all part of it, right? Don't you think?
It's trial and error, but the only
Yeah.
I often tell people like, well, I don't like that. And I was like, well, how did you know? Have you ever
Right.
tried it? And they're like, no. Well, I'm like, well, how do you know you don't like it?
Exactly.
You have to
Yes.
try stuff first to see if you
Yes.
like it or not. And then after you try it, then you can say, well, I don't like it.
And I think that's one thing that's such a good point. And that's one thing that they did in the show where in order for Molly to be good at being a dominatrix, she had to really learn how to be submissive. And so I think people sometimes think, oh, I'd be really good at that or I like that. But I think you should always try the flip side. You should always try, you should just, I mean, why not? You only live once, try it all as long as it feels good and you feel safe, you know?
In the words of, was it Drake, YOLO, you listen, you only live once. Do all the things. Okay. Well, Nikki, thank you for joining us today.
Yes. Thank you for letting me talk about my friend and just getting more people to know about the show. And I just really appreciate you so much.
And where can people watch the show?
If you go to Hulu, you can watch 8 episodes. Also, if you have Disney Plus, you can watch it there as well.
Speaking of Disney Plus, this is funny. So I saw on Facebook, I'm on Facebook too because I'm old. But anyway, so I'm from the Facebook generation, sorry.
Right. So am I, just so you
Yeah.
know.
And so some lady posted talking about I turned to Disney and this is what I see. It was the Dying for Sex ad
Right?
on
I
Disney.
know.
And she was so upset. And the people in the comments were like, well, did you set the parental controls? Because they said
Yeah.
if you set the parental controls, you wouldn't see this. And she was so upset for nothing.
I know that was a lot of the comments. People were very upset that Disney Plus had Dying for Sex on their queue, which I have to say, like, yeah, I mean, the parent don't even get me started on parenting and what your kids should and shouldn't have access to.
Right.
But I hear them, but at the same time, it's like, get over it, move it on. Tell them what sex here. Hey, tell them what sex is. Have a conversation about death and move it on.
Move
Like, let's
on.
go, Francis. Right? Right. Ashley, thank you for having me on the show. You are such a bright light, and I love your nails.
Thank you.